Recently, Apple raised prices on pretty much everything and have priced some people out of buying new devices. So to counter that, Apple just launched a way to pay monthly for your iPhone, Mac, iPad, or Apple Watch. And if you're not careful, you could pay for 2 straight years and walk away owning absolutely nothing. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly what each device costs, how it stacks up against buying it, or using the Apple Card as another option. This is the kind of decision that's easy to get wrong, so let's break it down. What the Apple Upgrade program actually is a brand new leasing program, not the old iPhone upgrade program. This replaces it entirely. They are doing financing partnered with Klarna, the buy now, pay later company that you'll find on a lot of websites. Typically, they'll divide the payments up over a certain amount of time. This is a leasing program. This covers the iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple Watch. It's live right now, and this is not inherently a good or bad thing. It's a tool, and tools get used well or get used badly. Personally, I have mixed feelings on this. I can see how this could be a bad thing for customers in the wrong hands. So the way this works is it's a real lease, like leasing a car. It's not a payment plan where it's yours from day one. It belongs to the bank, and you are paying for it, and Klarna is the bank at that point. And when you make these payments, it's not automatically making those payments and you own the device. Now, when the end of your term runs out, you can return the device, walk away, and nothing is owed and nothing is owned. It is just boop, and you start over fresh. The other option, if you want to keep the device, is to do the payoff amount, which if you do 1 year, it's about 40% that you might owe of the original price. Or after 2 years, it could be about 20 to 30% that you still owe, which that can be, if you're doing this because money is an issue, you have to think about, are you in a position to be able to do that big payoff at the end? Or are you good with walking away with nothing after the term's up? At the end of the lease, if you don't give it back or you don't do the payoff, it'll roll into a month-to-month payment, the same one you've been making for up to 6 months. Now, this can affect the trade-in when you do return it. So the price you're paying can creep up doing that. So either pay it off or give the device back. Don't mess around. So let's do the pricing breakdown on what each device actually costs using Apple's own real-world examples. Let's start with the iPhone 17 Pro, the 256 gigabyte base model version for $1,099. If you go with the 12-month plan, it's $45.99 a month. At the end of that 12 months, you will have paid 50% of the device. Now, you would still owe the remaining $547 at the end of the lease. If you go with the 24-month program, you'd pay $31.99 a month. So you would actually pay off 70% of the device by the end of that 2 years. But you'll owe $331 to actually keep the device. Next is the base model Apple Watch Series 11, which is $399. If you go with 12 months, you'd be paying $21.99 a month. That is 66% of the price of the device. And then you would pay off the balance of $135. If you go with the 2 year, which is $11.99 a month, you would be paying 72% of the cost of the device. And then you would owe $111, which isn't a bad payout at the end. Now for the iPad Pro, that's $11.99 for the base model. There's no 12-month option. There's only a 24 and a 36-month option. Minimum 2 years with this device or 3 years. For the 24-month, you'd be paying $31.99 a month, which would be 64% of the original price. Now you'd have to pay $431 after that. 3 years at $24.99, that's 75% paid, and then you would owe about $300. Now, if you go with a 14-inch MacBook Pro, that is $19.99. Again, that's 24 months or 36 months, which 36 months, that's 3 years with a laptop. That's not unexpected to keep it that long. For 24 months, that's $54. After the 24 months, you will have paid almost 65%, and you would still owe $700 $100 to keep that laptop. For 36 months, that's about $39 a month, which is 70% of the laptop. But you need to come up with a final payment of $595 to keep it. And it kind of works out that if you take that extra year and divide up the cost, you're basically paying about 10% more of the device off. None of these prices include AppleCare. That's something you're going to have to buy separately, and that matters more than you think, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Now, the monthly numbers look pretty good and reasonable, but where it gets interesting is by going monthly and paying those monthly payments, the device it's not your device you're paying for. It's still Klarna's device. Now, to be fair with Apple here, no matter which way you go, whether you use this lease program or you put it on an Apple card, you never pay more than the device's actual retail. So there's no markup by doing this. There's no interest, just tax. So whether you go 1 year or 3 years, you're never paying more than that original price. Now, the benefit of going with the Apple Card monthly installments is you still get 0% interest, but you get 3% daily cash back upfront for yours from day one. And when you put it on the Apple Card, it's yours. You're done. You own it. If you do have any issues and you can't afford to make a payment, it's on a credit card and you'll get charged interest for that balance that's there. But you won't be breaking terms of a lease. If you're buying an iPad, a Mac, or an Apple Watch, those things are typically just 12 months. And that's usually how I buy all my Apple devices. I get 3% cash back. So even if I'm buying an Apple Watch, I just put it on there on the Apple Card. I make the payment each month. I'm getting that 3% cash back. And then after 12 months, I don't owe anything more on it, so I get to keep that cash in hand. Now, if you think of it that way and doing those payments, not only are you getting that 3% cash back, there's 0% interest. So you can earn interest elsewhere. If you have a high interest savings account, or if you have investments or something, you are making some additional money. So you're not, you could put that money to use elsewhere. The lease program only makes sense to me if you're planning on cycling out every year or two, or otherwise you could be surprised with a big payment at the end. That what happens with that laptop if you don't have that $500? Are you prepared to just hand back the computer you've been paying for 2 years and start over again? And maybe you are. And for some people like myself, for a tech channel, if I look at it, that it could be a good thing. If I wanted to pick up the iPhone the Pro model, pick up the Air model, it's instead of paying outright for all of those or being on the hook for the cost of all those devices, I could just lease them for the year and then do it again and be able to make videos on them. And they become a tax deduction on top of that for business use. Tech content creators, this could look like the greatest thing ever to be able to do with devices. You never have to pay out of pocket the whole thing. You don't have to worry about selling it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and then someone complaining about the condition or any of that, or nickel and diming of you. You're paying a portion of the retail, roughly between 50 and 75%, depending on the terms you go with, and then handing it back and starting over. The trap to that, and this is where I see the problem, is some people are going to buy something that they can't afford to pay for at the end. They see that nice small number and they're like, I can do that. But that payoff is something they're not prepared for. And that's where it could bite you. The idea of the machine that you do everything on, if you're a student and you buy a machine, you're like, I don't have $500 to keep this thing. Are you really prepared to hand it back? And that's what you have to do. The other thing you have to think about is AppleCare. You got to pay AppleCare separately. I think it's a must-have. If you're going to do this lease program, you have to go with AppleCare. And the reason why is that if there's an issue with your device when you turn it in, and you'll get charged the AppleCare price to fix it. And this is one thing, this is where I question it, is with Apple's iPhone upgrade program, I've never had an issue. I always get my phones that way. And if it's cosmetic damage, Apple doesn't care. If the screen's cracked, you're going to pay $29 with AppleCare, which was included with that, and it's done. And I've never had an issue turning in any phones using the upgrade program. Now, Klarna, we don't know if they're going to be picky about it. Are they going to be as relaxed about it as Apple has been? That's something to factor in, that additional payment. Because if you go with the phone or you go with something, you're like, I won't worry about AppleCare. I'll put a case on it. Well, with the iPhone 17 Pro being aluminum, there's plenty of people who have dented those things up. And when you turn that back in that way, is Klarna going to charge you full price for that because you didn't get AppleCare? Or is that going to cost you an additional $99 that it wouldn't have? Something else to think about is if you miss a payment, there is no late fee. It's rolled into the next month, but missed payments can affect your credit score. And apparently, if you miss 3 payments in a row, the lease defaults. And you owe the full remaining balance on the device, or you can go to collections. With Klarna and the buy now and pay later borrowers, often, people get in the habit of carrying multiple loans at once. And sometimes it's people who really shouldn't be buying the device. And there's people that, there's plenty of defaults that have happened with these buy now and pay later stuff. Not every device qualifies with this. Some of the iPhones don't. The base level Apple Watch SE, you go with the Mac Mini or base iPad, none of those work with that program. So you really have to go with the higher end devices to be able to take advantage of this. This program, it's not about whether it's good or bad, it's how it's utilized. The bad of this is someone who just sees the cheap payment and wants something they really can't afford. Because it's not free money. You were on the hook for the full device. So no matter how you enter this, you have to think about that you are buying the device at retail price. If you don't buy the device, you will have nothing to show for the payments you've made. So understand that. Think about whether it makes more sense to take advantage of 0% interest, get the cash back, and use the Apple Card. It's your device. You own it at that point. And it's hassle-free at that point in a way. Just make sure you can handle the payment. And at the end of the day, buying it full price and selling it is going to give you the maximum amount of return on your money. Buying a MacBook Pro at full price, having it for 2 years and selling it for 50% of the value is still going to be better than doing this lease option. But leasing's convenient. It's why I've done the iPhone upgrade program, so I can just hand it back and be done. Now, but be careful. Be careful. Don't buy outside your means. This makes it very easy to do that. Now, would you lease your next iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple Watch? Or are you the buy it outright person? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far and you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Check out future videos. Give this one a like if you can. Thanks for watching. Bye.